approximately 35 men at the Wickham Point Detention Centre who have been redetained from the community and are subject to transfer back to Iran. These people have been found not to be refugees by the Australian government, either once or twice with a review. Some of them still have options to go to higher levels of appeal court to protest their decision. Many of them haven't had access to free legal assistance, which we're very concerned about. But none of these men can be sent home voluntarily, which is where their current predicament becomes very technical in terms of the law. Now, these men are Iranian, and Australia doesn't have an agreement with Iran to send people home involuntarily. And unless they decide to sign a document stating that they're going home voluntarily, they're said to remain in detention forever. So Martin has been in Australia for approximately 5 years. He was in detention originally on Christmas Island and then in Sydney for approximately 2 years. After that, he was released into the community in Canberra, where he was living for 2.5 years. Now, in August 2014, he was called in by the Immigration Department for an interview regarding his bridging visa. At that point, he was taken back into detention and brought up to Wickham Point outside of Darwin. Now, he's reached the predicament he's in because every day he's told by immigration staff, you have two options, and they are to return home voluntarily, which he doesn't believe is an option. He believes he'll be tortured and executed if he returns, or he can stay in detention forever. He simply can't handle the prospect of staying in detention one day longer, and that's why on the 1st of November, he decided to stop eating. He's been continuing to take water and take his medications. He's had a constantly infected foot for the past month. But apart from that, nothing's really passed his lips.
من یه پناهنده ایرانی هستم که به استرالیا پناه آوردم و از اول نوامبر 2014 شروع به اعتصاب غذا کردم و سری اول 53 روز اعتصاب غذا کردم و با وکیل و امیگریشن اعتصامو شکوندم. 2 روز غذا خوردم، ولی بعد 2 روز دیدم اذیت و آزارشون باز شروع شد و شروع اعتصاب مجدد کردم و از ایران فرار کردم به خاطر اینکه اونجا میخواستم زندانی نشم، شکنجه نشم، اذیت نشم، آزار نشم. ولی متاسفانه وقتی وارد استرالیا شدم تمام این شکنجه ها بیشتر از عذابی بود که تو ایران اگه قرار بود بکشم شد. همش تو زندان بودم یا تو کمپ بودم. تو موقعی هم که آزاد بودم یه جورایی همش تو سختی و مشکلات بود، همش استرس بود، همش درد بود یا یه جورایی اذیت هم میکردن و یه جورایی مثل ماشین، مثل آدم مرده متحرک، یه جور ماشین شدیم. هممون یه جورایی مشکل پیدا کردیم از نظر فیزیکلی، منتالی، همه چی. و فکر کنم یه جورایی امیدم رو از دست دادم. فکر کنم هیچ وقت به ما هیچ ویزایی ندن، نه ویزای پناهندگی، نه ویزای انسان دوستانه. اصلا فکر نکنم هیچ کدام از اینها رو یه روزی تو خوابم ببینیم. بعد هر وقتم که امیگریشن ما رو میخواد با اون صحبت کنه، تنها 2 چیز به ما میگه: یا اینکه برگردید کشورتون، یا اینقدر اینجا نگرتون میداریم خودتون خسته بشید و خودتون برگردید کشورتون. واسه همین خیلی سخته اینجا زندگی کردن. پس شما حالا هر کسی که میتونه دوست دارم به ما کمک کنه که بتونیم اینجا یه روزی آزاد بشیم. ممنون اینکه حرفمو گوش کردید.
A number of these men don't really have recourse to any future or further legal appeal. And so I've decided, with the men's consent, to take a letter of allegation to the UN Special Rapporteurs on the human rights of migrants and on the absolute prohibition of torture to talk about their situation. Under international law, it is unlawful to keep someone in detention forever, and that's very clear. It's a violation of Article 9.1 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, or ICCPR. Now, indefinite detention has also been found by the UN to constitute torture, and that's why I've taken the appeal to the Special Rapporteur on Torture as a violation of Article 16.1 of the Convention. Well, I now understand that there are up to 15 people on hunger strike at the moment in detention at Wickham Point. Those men are all part of this 35 people cohort of Iranians who are told they either have to stay in detention forever or return home. Now, having spoken to most of them, I believe that their situation is determined individually, and I don't think anyone has tried to have influence on anybody else in terms of encouraging them to protest. I've certainly been discouraging them from protesting because I know that the government doesn't look favourably on peaceful protests such as hunger strikes. And I've been explaining to them that not only will this probably not affect their chances of getting a visa, but also it could result in worse treatment inside detention and further delays in any processing that might eventuate in terms of their applications for protection. So these people are all in the same boat, basically. They all feel that their only choice is to stay in detention forever, and none of them can stand that prospect. The soul-crushing nature of being behind bars, being treated as a number rather than a name, is inhuman and degrading treatment, and the UN agrees.